So I I did that thing where I wandered into the room looking for something that I needed and don't know if I actually found that something.
I
But
do
I got
that.
my cobbler and I'm good.
Yeah. Sometimes when I have things in my mind, I will go to the refrigerator when I meant to go to the closet. So it happens. Hi,
That
Eddie.
is true.
Hey guys, fancy seeing you here. You guys look great.
How are you tonight?
I'm good. Just started raining. It's nice rain outside. It cooled the air off. The wind is coming through the home. Breathing, remembering to breathe, being grateful for every moment when I can remember to be so. You know, when you think about breathing and you're like, oh, now I'm thinking about breathing. And then it gets to a point where you're not thinking about breathing anymore. When did that transition happen? How did that subtly slow into not being consciously aware into pattern or repetitiveness? Somebody said, when you're not focused on your breathing, you should be focusing on your breathing. So I try, those little jump starts of mindfulness because usually if I question myself, am I being mindful? If I was asking myself, I'd be trying to put myself back in. So trying to get past having wearing a shock collar all the time and get more graceful about it.
I like that. I mean, it's just showing that you're stepping into another level of awareness, and to an extent, just the more you spread your wings, um, the more you'll fly. You know.
I agree wholeheartedly. Um, it's literally like the ultimate trust fall between the divine, the state of surrender that you have to be in, like that.
So tonight we're basically going to be. I mean, the basics of the topic will be intentions, which can go into multiple different things. Um, and how those intentions can be great for us, can not be so great for us, can be projected onto others, and just how it brings awareness to what our intentions really do, and also the receiving side of intentions, depending on what your intentions are, can kind of affect that as well.
I appreciate you clearly stating your intentions. I think that happens not to make a joke, haha. But people don't speak their intentions out loud before they speak, right? Usually, so. Or I think a big chunk, there's no intentions behind anything, and it's just yammer yammer, words flying out of mouths on a certain frequency of either complaining, hunger, want, need, baser, low hanging, whatever you want to call it, vibratory, matching what's acceptable at the time for people to let words fly out of their mouths. So if you're communicating a certain message or trying to channel a message, being that mindful presence, that's like intention at the same time, because I'm having good intention with the words coming out of my mouth at this moment. But to not speak and then to choose to speak and having in mind, I will have intention of the words coming out of my mouth makes for a lot less words being necessary, and the intention, like the wand or the runes or the cards, are just these extensions of ourselves. So the words are extensions of ourselves, where the magic is in the wand holder or the person reading the cards. The art form of the guitar is me when I play it. It's not the guitar by itself. It's just an extension. So that
I agree. So, like the word itself, it's the intention behind the word. So, a word can have a meaning. The way we train or the way we communicate. But the energy exchange that happens is the intentions that you have behind the word itself. So that goes into a lot of the way we communicate. Um, and like one word, depending on how you say it to a friend, it's going to have a tremendous different meaning to if you were to say it to somebody that they don't know who you are, have never had an experience with you before, at least. So, but the intentions, but they can, if that word, regardless, they can feel your energy behind you, even in the public, whether they have ever met you before or not. So there's, a lot of ways that you can get away or be in life, just a day-to-day life, communicating with people in the public in a kind manner, even if you have to give them not so pleasant news. For instance, like let's just use an example, an insurance adjuster. Okay, for instance, an insurance adjuster gives good news quite often, but has to give bad news of non-coverage due to a certain incident that's not covered under the policy. Um, so you still want to do it in a polite, kind manner with that intent, but the news itself is not so great.
I also kind of want to bring in, hi guys, by the way, I want to throw in for a moment. um, Intention is something that has been like a fundamental tool for me throughout my life. As a child, when I was using toys to make altars to deities, things of that nature, like I've been transitioning through this life utilizing that tool. And I love the level of utilitarian uses it has.
It makes you a better person while getting the communication effectively. Wrong intention. You have the wrong intention. That's always, it's not the good intentions that get smiled upon. It's like someone has the wrong intentions. And you can often, I don't want to give you the wrong intentions here or the wrong impression, but, these warning signs of prefacing before I say this, not to be racist, but not to be, not that I say, not for not, to have these worries. And people are definitely afraid in public or have been taught for a defense mechanism that they've been punished for having wrong intentions with how they speak and proper speaking and how the dialect works. So there's a very strong neutrality level, like proper speaking, young Charles, where the delicacy of the language itself is not to have intention, almost a blank, faceless, emotionless conversation just for safety reasons of the dangers of misrepresented intention, perhaps.
Swing better, swing like I'm gonna play off that one though. I'm gonna play off that one, Eddie, because in the same beauty of the intentions, you have the other side of it, right? So duality does exist. Intent can matter. Now we cannot force others' perspectives to be swayed to our own intentions. We cannot discount others' feelings based upon our intentions, right? but a purity of intention for me and reflection has always given me the type of outcome that which I seek. And that was really important for me. I seek comfort and growth.
Oftentimes,
I seek that kind of stuff.
I think for myself, often you see other people's reactions and reflections of how they feel, assuming they're feeling that because of me, then I take on those qualities. Fair to say, right? So when you have that noble intention yourself, it does give you those right results in the end. Every time when you stand by that, I would think that's a victory of self. But when you're not at that level, perhaps, like most of us, I would say, are, when you're doing things with intention, it's like, well, I had good intentions behind it. Then things get misconstrued, and now people, you're assuming they're reacting the wrong way. So now I feel like I'm acting the wrong way because of how I act, and it makes me more inhibited to show intention, which isn't great. You know, the other side, I guess, to light that melting candle, you ever make somebody smile at somebody without smiling at them or looking at them really, but you're making them smile. You're still smiling at them. And that's intention to me, is that emotion behind, not even behind, you know, putting it, don't back things up with intention. Put it first and foremost, lead with intention. And then little has to be said, if anything, I suppose, unless
Right.
directions like need to be taken, like take a left or then go up the stairs.
Exactly. That's the thing is like we can find that in ourselves and realize like intention isn't everything. And so to honor it in each moment, bring it to each moment as it is, it is. Like that's the beauty of it, is it's so transformative that it can truly adapt to each moment, at least in the pattern that I have seen in my usage of it. It's been a foundation piece for me in my building.
Yeah, like back to where you were talking about utilizing as tools. So, when we become aware, let's say that our intentions are also what help manifest the energy that surrounds us. What we generate and what we project is what we receive. Um, you can utilize that as tools into a lot of different aspects of your life. So whether it's just on a spiritual level for protection, for intentions for growth patterns, like there's a lot of different things. But just manifesting anything into our lives, you have to put the intention in to do so, because that's what puts energy in motion, is that intention. So that's also what triggers the subconscious mind for awareness, is intention. So just a simple prayer itself sets intention, gives awareness. That could be meditation within yourself and asking yourself and your higher self. It's setting intention and creating awareness. So and it just keeps going and going and growing and growing. Um, and that's also what helps create our paths, is setting the proper good intentions, and good things will happen and allow you to rejoice in a path of ascension.
You just took this conversation to a new galaxy. So
Yeah,
intention
buddy.
is intention manifestation.
Most definitely, it's one of the first layers when you look at the when you look at the common denominator, like the echo of truth, the denominator, let me say it right, thank you. The echo of the truth there is, it's all within the layers, right? Micro, macro, the synchronicities, even the science that says, hey, this is how you create a mass delusion by only seeing these certain synchronicities and not looking at all the science in here. Like, all of it, though, shows the echo of the truth of the fact that it is exponentially greater than anything we were even thinking of imagining, right? And there are layers within it. There are fractals within it. There are things that we're just beginning to think of understanding. So in that, I would say, just in the perspective of what I've seen, what I've experienced, intentions are a part of the process of manifestation. Now, I'm also Life Path 3-5. I'm a manifester. So I see it in that context.
I mean, that goes with even exploring spiritual realm. When you set your intentions freehand, for instance, your intentions are also your natural energy, because that is what is intentionally being set, whether it's being done intentionally or unintentionally. That's the outcome that you're going to experience as well. So it's just it's all a form of manifestation, like Ash just explained. It's definitely first stages, setting those intentions, and some things have to be followed through. Some things happen just naturally, and it doesn't feel that way, at least. But everything's circumstantial, of course, to every individual.
Cancers, if I may ask you, have both of you, or either of you, or however you wish to perceive it, have y'all encountered the book, The Secret?
Yeah, I haven't read it cover to cover, but I've read excerpts from it, and I can summarize it, I suppose.
Okay, well, The Secret really just is this beautiful thing that we're all openly discussing here. It's all about the intention. And here's the thing. It doesn't matter how I walk through life, life still serves me what life's meant to serve me. And I know that. We all in this room know that. Because life has taught us that. So I made the conscious choice in the end to say, all right, then that means if I want in my life, if I want peace, then I need to have peace in me. Wherever I am, wherever I may go, however I may exist. If I want to bring that into the world, I have to have it in me. And I went through systematically these fundamental words that we express towards each other, like intention. I hyper-focused, I absorbed into it. I wanted to understand every function of it because I wanted to understand the system that was me, that is me, And there's so much for me to still learn. There's so much for me to still learn. But I recognize that every time I learn, I gain a new tool. And like with intention, the more I learn, the more I recognize the organic system where intention already came into play and how I could best utilize it for me on my path. And have that beautiful word that you like so much.
It's beautiful, Ash. And intention has come across me. Chris can back me up in shadow work as a person that does shadow work. And what you do, there's basically two parts. You have your intention. When you write out your intention, the intention of this exercise, etc., and then your prompts. Your prompts are going to visit it, looking at examples, how I reacted to the situation, etc. But during the shadow work exercises, hints come across you when I would get a little lost or frustrated or thought I was just kind of spinning in the cycle, ready to move. Go back. Go back to the intention that started this exercise and read that intention again. What was the intention? That still is the intention when I was of clear mind and present mind, and I stated that intention for this exercise to learn from and grow from. And now I can revisit that intention. That is still there. Even if I have moved off of that intention can remain true. So it's like a backwards lighthouse or something, like more of a compass than a beacon, but it's there. And once that is set and you can establish it and feel good about it, and you're allowed to change as things go and evolve as situations, etc. But to have something to gauge off of or reflect a reflective point helps put things in perspective. Like when you see a painter paint and they stick their thumb up in front of it, I assume they're doing something like that.
That's the beauty of it, man. That's the beauty of it. It's like, move how it's authentic for you. That's why they say, like, some of the most simplest sayings are some of the deepest and most profound spiritual lessons, and that the community says these things and will understand these things, but we don't necessarily talk about it. So here I'm talking about it, understanding it with you all. Like,
I have a question for both of you.
mm-hmm.
Okay, so what would you say about somebody, because we've been talking about good intentions, and it's been primarily about good intentions within ourselves and impacting ourselves. But so having good intentions for others, can that still have a negative impact on that person, even though it was still good intentions behind it?
Well, I often feel when I hear somebody say, I had good intentions, that's a red flag. It's like, thou doth protest too much. It seems like something in a comedy Will Ferrell film. It's like, well, I had good intentions. It's like, hey, you let the barn on fire, Bill. I don't. It's a tricky one, Chris. Ash?
So that's where I was already kind of tipping the toe into this one and what I was saying, because while good intentions need to be honored and respected and cherished for the tool that they are, we must maintain an understanding that no matter our intentions, I'm going back and I'm saying these words again because I feel they're vital in their how I feel about this. No matter our intentions, everyone is entitled to perceive things in their points of perception the way they are meant to perceive it. I cannot tell someone how to receive a message that I am giving. It is simply my place in that moment to give the message. Now, I know that when I use the foundation of good intentions, but also adhere to a social obligation and understanding of respect and mutual cohabitation, it is not my place to tell them that my good intentions matter more than their point of perception, no matter what it is.
I would like to say I agree. I think that a lot of that has to do with consent. And so, for any action that we want to have on another, whether it's, definitely, hopefully it's good intentions, but we should have consent so we can understand if that's a good thing or not for them. So we don't know what type of boundaries they might have. And we find this happening with, different types of religion, that somebody might feel like it's being pushed upon them, regardless of what it might be. It's just everybody takes anything and everything in their own way, and they take their own steps. So everything is in their own divine timing, for whatever that is. So that's why a lot of people talk about planting seeds, and I think that's a good, proper way to do things. Let things develop in a natural way for the people that it could utilize and help them. Because if you go on a statistic route, the more seeds you plant, the more that will flower eventually. And so that's kind of a way of setting proper intentions without crossing boundaries, I guess, to an extent.
That's good. The person I usually deal with the most in my life is me. So let's focus, if you would like to turn on myself and intentions towards ourselves, and I'll turn my intention on myself. What are my intentions of myself, and how does that affect my reality? And through my intention to be abundant, to be successful, to be happy, to be grateful, to be joyous. How many of these things have I heard? How many of these things do I know I'm supposed to say? How many of them do resonate from my heart? Is my intention my own heart? How much that theater, even by ourselves, that we present, how we show up in the world, that theater we do present to ourselves. And by taking masks off and that self intention of my intention towards myself and my life and my reality must be strong. There's as much, you ever see the game show Supermarket Sweep at the end? Go get as much as you can carry. It's like how much you get, as much as you can carry. So if I set my intentions low to myself, or my expectations, I guess I could translate that into sometimes on a 3D place. But if I'm consciously aware of how our thoughts create our reality and how I think like attracts like, etc., then my intention of self and my self intention would surely change the perspective of how my intention towards others would seem so small in comparison of my responsibility of my own self intention.
That's where you have to find the balance, because it's all about you bring in different foundation pieces because you recognize that those foundation pieces help balance out weaknesses and strengths of other foundation pieces, right? Like that's why they become our foundation pieces. It's because we recognize that they're able to create a solid platform. You were hitting it spot on. you can have the best intentions in the world and you can do the practices, but not actually quite believe it inside yet. And so you still don't fully have that clicked in self realization yet. And that is I'm telling you, every time I am standing in a new situation where I'm having that kind of feeling, because I've felt that before. I even have some of that feeling in certain parts of my life right now. Okay? That is one of the most pivotal points. That's what I was talking about to Chris the other night. I was like, man, people are getting sick of my analogies. I got to come up with something fresh. But it's that roller coaster pivot point. And that's what it is. Everyone is entitled to have that self-realization when they have it. How it's meant to happen for them. Don't begrudge anyone. Just keep it in the flow of knowing good intentions.
I
Knowing
like
that
that.
there's equal standing and presence.
I think a good way to do it when you're at that top of the roller coaster and it changes, what looks really fun is when people put their hands up.
Yeah.
You
It's
know, you got to ride it. You know, those
divine
waves, that
surrender.
current's going. You just might as well, surfing looks fun. Ninja Turtles look like they're having fun. So these waves in the river of time and the ripples we make will change our own little bits and pieces, but it's going. So surf's up, hang loose, lighten up. Because Bill Hicks, the comedian, used to touch on brilliant facts, and he always said, life is just a ride. Padding along, I guess, with the roller coasters, life is just a ride. It's always been just a ride. People have come and gone. People have all been on the ride. They'll tell you about the ride. And right now, you have a choice. And the choice isn't whether to quit your job or to walk away from life itself or anything, but that power of choice and my intention of myself and sovereignty to have the choice makes me pretty samsara free in my existence. I feel many weights have been lifted, things I've carried my whole life. I didn't realize how heavy they were. And I'm not carrying a lot of that now, and I feel lighter. I'm not too big for that roller coaster. I can get in, put my arms up and enjoy. And that's my choice, no matter what life throws at me.
Exactly. And you have the choice to get off the roller coaster when you want. So that's the beauty of it, is we set our own limitations and we can change them as well.
New Earth with the gift, much spreading the love.
Yes, thank you so much. So,
Gracias.
I mean, definitely intentions go with a lot. I mean, just in our day-to-day lives, especially spiritually. I think that a lot of people experience their first awakenings not intentionally. It's usually a cause to an effect. But to go through the spiritual growth and go through just self realization and setting the intentions of the shadow work, like you speak of. So, going through multiple different situations in your life and finding peace and forgiveness within those to find that growth, which, sometimes it's not necessarily depicted as all love, but it's still transmuted into a better energy than what it was before. And sometimes over life we go back to those same situations and grow them a little bit more. So it just, at least that's what I do. I did some shadow work in stages. Some shadow work didn't need to be in stages. Some of it took 10 years. Some of it I'm still working on. It's just not, the energy isn't near as what I would consider negative, because I don't have negative attachments to it anymore. But, there's still growth. There's still gap for growth. And there's still gap for growth. That means there's growth that needs to be done. And that's what experience. So I have to set those intentions and go through it. Back to intentions. There we go.
Okay, can I introduce a new word to this equation? With good intentions. I want to introduce the word sustainability.
Can you explain the word?
I can. So sustainability is where, in the context that I'm using it here, I don't have the actual official definition of it. But sustainability is about understanding that the amount of energy you're putting out is something that you can continue to put out without it being a detriment to your system. So, sustainability is a big key. When laying intentions, you recognize intentions are something that you can utilize to help you. So when I'm talking about sustainable intentions, I'm talking about taking things that are current aspects of your here and now and environment that are already a part of your current routine to allow you to sustain living. Things that you cannot currently eliminate from your everyday existence. Then to take those things and restructure, transmute those things into the intentions that you wish for them to represent in your vibration. So, for example, if you have to go to work Monday through Friday, utilize these things that you have to do like that to set in intentions.
I definitely like that. Hi, Eileen T. Welcome.
Hey guys, I'm here for this. When Ash said sustainability, it's like, yup. Great word. Yeah, I'm just starting to listen in on the conversation. I'll have something to say in a bit. If you guys want to keep going, good to see you guys.
Great to see you, AT. And heck yeah, I know we we all kind of find the flow. So I appreciate that.
I really enjoy that word as well. It means a lot, honestly. And that's kind of why I think we wanted to even talk about intentions in the first place. It's just, we all set intentions, and the thing about even all the set intentions, there's gonna be intervening things. have to be accepted. So even on the receiving end, like the acceptance is a big part. But it's really hard to do because we've all have had our own individual experiences, which have created our own boundaries, and we need boundaries to be healthy in the moment of our healing. I mean, that's, once we're healed, boundaries kind of go away, except for kind of a generality of boundaries, like of disrespect in a sense. There's just certain things that will always be kind of a general boundary that doesn't go into primarily individuality. And intention is the only way we'll even get to that point in life with everybody that way, is having that proper intentions within themselves to love themselves and have that acceptance of others. Because usually that comes hand in hand. Once you start loving yourselves, the acceptance comes with it.
We often talk about recognizing others that resonate to a certain frequency, a good vibe. This room, we're all in tune. But that intention and having good intentions, I think, is more of a poignant word, if anything, than saying a certain frequency or vibe. But everyone has arrived with good intentions. As I looked up just now, the etymology of the word intention, it means to stretch, to stretch. Now, I was like, I'm a witty guy. What can Ed say? Stretching, silly putty, stretch this intention all over my thoughts and words. I didn't come up with anything good. So maybe if one of you guys had the idea of the word intention means from the word stretching, to stretch. Any takers?
Well, if you lay into the one that you like the most right now, of the tying in with the synchronicities, if you lay into the fact that science is finally looking at that fascial tissue a lot more and recognizing that it was through past intention that it stores memory, right? You can see right there an echo, a synchronicity of it in our own makeup, in our own biology.
So our memories like neuroplasticity. I know Tia was talking about that earlier. So like our neurons creating those memories, creating our intention of a being of an intention. Is that fair to say you're saying a bit?
I have an opinion on this. Hi, Tia.
Hello.
And hi. So I wonder what you guys think about this. Once you truly connect to your authentic self, what I found is that my intention becomes singular and it doesn't change ever. Because I'll never let go of that authenticity that I've been looking for previously until I found it, if that makes any sense. What do you guys think of that?
It makes plenty of sense to me. Everything I do is intentional. Everything. Consciously aware of my intent and putting that intentions into everything.
Guys are making me nervous, make me feel like if I don't put intention, I'm leaving an empty vessel. And we know what happens to empty vessels, they get filled.
Well,
it'll be filled
let
with
me
love.
right. Like, let me take that back out of that pressure zone. And AT, what I call that is my place of grace and sustainability. You have found a way for you that is sustainable in your journey while continuing your growth. That is how I would view what you said. And Eddie, that's why I was talking about the actual sustainable intention setting in the first place, is to actually help give you the strongest foundation piece that I know of, that I've been able to utilize, is by transmuting and reworking those already pre-existing. It creates the rebirth and
Ah,
gives
yes.
you that solid foundation where you don't have that paranoia aspect coming into that play.
Eureka. I see the river that was not flowing clearly, a little work around the edges of that river in the past. Now the water flows freely through it and new fish and new life come in.
Exactly. We are honored to be the seeds of the future.
Aw.
And humble.
I agree that, we do everything with intent. Even people that aren't aware of it, really, because they're really just moving in the energy. And that's what naturally creates their intentions. But it's different when, we have a panel of people that are well aware of their intentions and well aware of their energy and how to transmute that energy into an energy that they want to have the proper intentions on. So it's nice to hear that, because we don't see that out in day-to-day life a lot, honestly. Everybody usually just kind of moves with the energy around them and isn't really transmuting that energy in the crowds or in the room or just their neighbor or whoever it might be. Um, kind of goes with, we had discussion earlier about keeping your cup full and producing the energy. It's kind of the natural flow. So you can only give out what you can produce, and it doesn't deplete. It just keeps a natural flow, which is good. I mean, we don't want stagnant water sitting around. We don't want stagnant energy sitting around. Keep the natural flow. But keep it in the flow and the intentions that we want, right?
Redirect those rivers. I remember a couple weeks ago, AT, on your show, you were saying manifestation, whether you believe it or not, everything that's happened to you in your lives, you have manifested one way or another. And with intention, Chris, you say there is intention and not awareness or not conscious awareness or plausible deniability in some respects. There is intention behind anything, I suppose, and there has been the whole time, whether to grasp the consciousness of it and using our tools and our subconscious limbic system to communicate to you to hoo and communicate to bada bing bang. These tools as adults are coming in pretty handy now, and it's so hard to imagine that we haven't had these graspings and conversations our whole lives. I have not. And we made it this far. I'm just pretty impressed on that. What damage has been done? How much is there to fix? How many how many streams behind me, if I turn around and look back, have fish caught and like the beaver dams are all crushed up? There's no happy wildlife. It's like, what kind of path have I left behind me? Am I the Iron Giant?
Welcome to forestization. We as a
No,
people are
accountability is
seeing
nothing to be
it all
ashamed of.
across the world.
People always talk
We as
about
a
self-improvement.
people are saying, okay, we accept we as a people did this. Now, how do we as a people fix this? And so now they have gone back into the ancient books, of course, because some of the best farming technology of our time came from there. And they're saying, okay, this is how we fix it. And they're making those crescent moon aqueducts, and they are literally reforesting the world because they see now that the desert, okay, you know what I'm saying, the desertification, thank you, somewhere in there, that word was spreading no matter what. So they addressed it at the source, the core issue of it, and went back into that. What I'm saying, dude, is they went past just addressing and accepting responsibility for the problem and created the solution or we're at least humble enough to accept a solution that already existed.
It's where the past, present, and future is all happening simultaneously at one time in the now, where we are contrasting what we've done in the past and where we want to go in the future, and at this pivotal now moment, bringing it all together. Big picture,
Definitely.
because we can have both. We don't have to have one or the other. We can integrate and harmonize and have both. Dissolve duality.
I agree. That big picture view, I mean, that's what allows you to manifest big picture things in your life as well, because it takes stages. So it's putting that perspective of the future, the past, the now, and that perspective gives you the intuition of the next step. You know, and even connecting with all those on a spiritual level brings much more awareness than that, really. But just on a step-by-step basis, that's how we manifest big things into big picture things into our lives, because it doesn't happen at once. Just to manifest a family into your life takes multiple steps. A healthy family, you really should experience multiple different things about ourselves and about just different things. I think we should all experience relationships that failed multiple times, so we can really understand those before we have that family, that full family. Not saying that that's the way it needs to be. That's just the way it happened for me, and I can understand in reflection why it went that way for my path. Because everybody has their own path, of course.
Relationships. A big core problem in our species with relationships, married in this union, is that we don't know who we are. And we haven't created space in our world to take that path, that identification, to implement it in everything that is formatted in human interaction in our society, creating that environment where we, at our first breath, are walking a path of knowing, of self-identifying, of coming into our true essence and implementing and creating that from the moment that we come in. Then we could dissolve a lot of our issues. We wouldn't have to have a lot of failed relationships. Hold on 1 second. I got to regulate on these children.
That's what Tia's saying is true. We get into relationships. We're not always aware consciously of what we need to experience in order to grow. And so it happens without even us being consciously aware of attracting it. We're still manifesting it. And, for those who are open to pursuing the spiritual path right now, we're coming to the realization of a lot of things in our past, but everything serves us. We have to remember that.
I'm kind of in that spectrum of it. Instead of deleting it, I integrate. So for me, it's a spectrum. I integrate it, and I don't let the possibility of failure keep me from the gratitude of experience. That's just how I operate in my system and how I know my system. I'm actually prone to failure and making mistakes because of the way I face the world.
Go on.
I don't follow predestined path. I literally follow that little intuition inside of me, that voice that like buzzes. I follow the flow of the universe, and I recognize that puts me in a state of surrender.
Yeah, I was just asking for a friend. Thanks.
Yeah, speaking of friends, looks like the gang is back. Well, at least for me.
Hi, Robin.
Exactly.
Bus driver.
I agree. What's the connect subject? Our intention.
Hey, bro. Hey. We're talking
Our
about
intention creates our
intention.
reality.
Oh, I see.
We could collectively create a collective reality and change this experience so drastically than anything beyond grasping and anything we've ever known or experienced.
I agree. And I think it's going to have to definitely happen to make a change. And we've heard Aileen T say it. It's about that 51%, and making that movement. And it's very inspirational to hear people talk about it because that's what it needs collectively.
Alien T said that 51%.
Yes.
It is. It is a numbers game. It truly is.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
We've got 9 numbers, put the 9 numbers in different orders, and 9 numbers do different things, and that's there is to it. There's only 9 numbers. How difficult could it be?
Hey,
Freaky, you know about the numbers. There's only how many numbers, Freaky? 9 numbers. You put them around, you move them up and down, left and right, wiggle wobble. They're done, right?
yeah, basically, if I understand what you're saying, yeah, this 1 through 9 is pretty much it as far as numbers, and then everything else is a fractalization or a aftermarket parts, I guess.
Yeah, it's a elaboration of the 1 through 9.
Told you so.
It probably had nothing to do with anything, but just chew on it. Sorry.
It's more like light consciousness, right? And it activating numbers in that. And as it activates and spreads and expands, it lights and illuminates the world.
Much like we do.
Short-term and long-term intentions for ourselves. Like that, a diet you can stick with, a routine, a schedule, sustainability, like Ash was talking about with all these things we do, and to maintain the marathon attitude of moving forward.
Yeah, gains, basically. And actually, I really need to take that seriously. Because moving forward is something I always do, but with intention of gains is kind of a different thing. Being mindfully all the time intentional, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's like I often live spiritually paycheck to paycheck.
The most accurate.
That, but like just having that proper intent also will, I know we move forward, but allow us to not keep repeating the same actions within the same energy that's going to continue to come back around, So it's like that. I think that's what I mean when I say my proper intention of growth in myself, and just being aware of those constantly allows us, the more awareness we gain of ourselves, allows us to be able to have the options to make those changes. So.
Intention. Our truest emotions and thoughts of our intentions is our truest currency, our energy and our currency, what we put out. If we are intentional, what we put out in currency, our true currency, our energy, comes back to us. Compensation. We experience it in experiences and people, maybe even random experiences and encounters of miracles or compensation of materialism or wealth. It's so many ways that we experience this true law, this structure of compensation, and what currency we're putting out is what we get back.
I was just wondering, does anybody here on the panel think, can we do anything without intention? And I'm not talking about conscious awareness. What is intention? Where does it come from?
It's a pretty solid line of question there. I'm kind of seeing where you're going with that. I guess it depends if you mean like will and intention, or like reaction to intention.
I don't think we can do anything without intention. I just think that when we become aware of our intentions, it amplifies it more compared to, the conscious or subconscious state. Because now it just feels like, to me, we're applying more energy to it. It's like kind of like focus compared to not focused. But I don't think we can do really anything without intent. I think our intentions can be easily persuaded without the awareness, though.
I want to take a stab at that. So I'd like to make a definitive between the words of intention and volition. Volition is using intention in action. So if I have volition, Edward has the intention of getting some water to drink and tell it I love it and love the water, and my volition is going to get me up out of the chair to get said water. So the intention can be lacking volition when it is not acted upon. So that intention, where does that come from? Yeah, that place. This is where Gabe would go, shh, don't say. That's where it comes from, that place, the good. The volition is the human factor engaging, like myself engaging with my higher self to become one. So that volition of the action is my part to add.
This is why we tell you it's wise to set your intention in your heart space, because that's your true brain and you have the purest of intentions. But many have choice to set. You could set it mentally, conscious set intentions, subconscious plane of energy. Where your intentions come from is all on that individual. It's wise for you to set it in your heart. And so aligning your mind with your heart so your intentions are pure.
Yeah, I agree with that, Tia. And yes, Chris, it gets more powerful when you back the proper emotions behind it and the conscious awareness of it. Now we're talking a little bit of woo-woo, casting beautiful manifestation spells, I like to say.
I was doing it for a long time before I knew what I was doing.
Yeah. So, y'all have heard my take, I believe, on this in a way, but it's a really solid reminder, so I'll bring it back forward. And that there is a presence to that organic system. Its understanding awareness level is always applicable. Everything is going to always be based on this level. So, for example, we should not fear the karma which we did not sow as children because our awareness wasn't there, is where I would put some validity to that statement. give grace where grace is due in that aspect. Recognize that, yes, if your present awareness is there, then through the universal laws, you have that understanding. But if you're moving in the ways of allowing for all that exists to exist in that ultimate acceptance. So in that alignment of all, in the voice of all, you move in that rhythm of acceptance with that.
It's beautiful. Beautiful. Chris, if I could focus, my segue is focus this towards you to start, maybe. We can take light, and focus that light into a crystal or a lens and make that light stronger, more focused. How can we apply that idea to focusing our intention to make our intention more powerful and focused?
Just the word you just said is focus. I think we can apply that to anything we do in our lives. So an application can be right in front of our face, the energy is still there, but without the focus, we don't make the full connection. So that's the same thing that we're, the light going through the crystal, amplifying it into more of a beam style. We're focusing onto beaming down onto what it might be a solution. It might be focusing our eyes on something, but it's making the connection.
For the sake of this storyline, let's pretend that sometimes I'm not completely focused. Big stretch. How would you recommend to someone that has, or a reflection of your past, where you haven't had the focus, and to maintain that focus? More, if you something specific, perhaps, meditation, just focus. When you tell a kid to focus on their homework, very rarely do they seem focused.
Yeah, usually it's easier to focus on something we're passionate about.
Yeah, tap, 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 tap. Can I? Okay, guys, it's just that Ash talks about this for a reason, because this is so valid in our existence. Because, I was told to focus, I was never taught how to focus. And so when someone finally was like, hey, you realize it's because they didn't know how, but this is actually how you focus. Okay, cool. I don't care now who didn't. Now I know how to focus. It's the fact that we can't just tell them to focus. We have to teach them to focus, guide them. If they're going to do it or not, that's their choice. But we at least have to. I'm saying have to because I'm that person, but you get what I'm saying. Provide them with those tools.
Hard to be an example. Yes, it is very hard for the external world. The external public arena is extremely loud and distracting all brothers and sisters from their inner world to their inner truths.
The inner child.
No, focus training exercise, man. Literally tell them, hey, train your focus. So if you feel like you're being scattered and you're having issues staying focused on something, go ahead and purposefully acknowledge it in that moment and do a little bit of a focus exercise and purposefully retrain a predetermined 3 different scenes of your focus to literally retrain your focus, or to train your focus in the first place, since even if you weren't taught, is my point.
I want to add that there's an intrinsic part of us where focus is natural, based on desire. And even as children, if you really desire something, you will have the will to at least attempt in your own way to manifest it, and the belief as well. So will, desire, and belief are three important components. I just think that, focus on your homework, and the kid doesn't want to do it really deep inside, doesn't have the desire to. I think that's an overlooked part of whether someone's able to focus or not.
Well, yeah. Okay, so let's look at that in an intentional way to stay in the ballpark of our conversation, because we know this is a roundtable, and sometimes the courses get a little exotic. But to stay in the ballpark of intentions, I'm going to look at this in an intentional way, right? It's because they're learning through our actions, where we tell them, go do this, and then take our attention away from it, showing them through our actions that homework is not worthy of our attention, right? So that is what we, through our actions, are showing our children when we do that. No matter our intentions behind that, through our actions, we're validating the exact other side.
True.
Yeah, absolutely.
Agreed. Speaking of focus, my energy has been everywhere lately. Last couple of weeks, letting things like go to the wayside, and I do eventually, but I definitely need to refocus on information within my life.
Okay, so for the sake of filling dead air in this moment, I was going to say, Rabanas, I completely get it. That's something I would love to hear the community talking more about. Not that, but the fact that, guys, we have all different types of reports going on out there. We recognize there's ascension. We recognize there's waves coming in, and different ones affect us in different ways. No, it's not about putting burden on others by sharing grief of our experience, but instead an actual informative, hey, this wave and energy process put me through, and it helps keep that natural growth and information. And different patterns. You literally just had the Galactic New Year, man. Of course it's big energy.
Yeah, so you're meaning just to bring that space to if anyone can or is willing to educate and clarify if they have a knowing or a knowledge about it. And it's part of that natural aspect of coming together and creating and building community. And so in that community, addressing concerns or fears or doubts or whatever may be on people's hearts and emotions and minds, because there's a lot going on in the external arena, in the reality that we're all collectively in, that a lot of us may not give attention or awareness, and avoidance. There's a lot of avoidance, but yeah, and leading by example of how to process, and where we can bring focus and attention to where we can transmute those concerns or fears, and maybe clarify something or educate on something.
Exactly. Like Ash literally told me about the 888 coming up in August. I was like, I totally forgot about it. I'm not even sure if I ever knew. It's like, you remember when you were younger and you were practicing paganism. I'm not talking for everyone, but you know, like the solstice and the equinox and stuff. It's like, oh come on. Yeah, it's very interesting.
I just want to say I agree 100% because, like, a community in anything, everybody has their own kind of attributes. And so that also means everybody has their own ways of helping in the community. So in a spiritual community, it works the same way. So we all have a way to help each other and we all grow with each other. And that's kind of been my perspective of the spiritual communities that I've even seen merge together, and just things grow, and that's what I've at least I've perceived, which is please I'd like to give a shout out to New Earth's channel. It's a community channel that Tia had started, the All, and they branch out and to grow a community. That's what it's for. It's for growth for people. That's what spiritual communities are for, whether it's on an intellectual, for learning purposes, or if it's just for growth purposes. There's a lot of people that have been through the same things and have the same experiences. And just talking to somebody that's been through that shadow work can help you in a way. It definitely helps me when I go into communities and am able to hear people's experiences. Experiences go a lot further than books because, books are written upon experiences to figure out what they're for. I love books, don't get me wrong, but we really have to take experiences to very seriously, because those experiences that people have had that have been really similar throughout the board show a lot. And they show a lot within metaphysics that we just can't really explain today. And they also give me validation from my experiences, which is great, because I think that it really helps us in our growth periods to get validation as we grow. It kind of closes that chapter as you can open the next one as we go through our steps. So I just want to say I love all you guys, because you are all a part of the community in many different ways. And every single one of you has inspired multiple people. I'm an observer. I don't actually speak that often on lives, but I've observed every one of you to even, is it Pia meditation? I've heard you speak a few times as well recently, and you have very inspirational words. I can tell it inspires people tremendously, and that goes a long way. Alien T's said it many a times that a community, when they reach out and they're reaching out to many different people, every individual will have a connection with multiple people, just like for instance, I might have a connection that doesn't have a connection with somebody else, and they have a connection with somebody else. And we see that in marketing, honestly, in business. So most large businesses have multiple marketers, so they can have just different approaches to have different attributes of people and different approaches, and it works really well. This is kind of the same concept when you're reaching out to people with even love. Not everybody is going to resonate with what I say or what I do, but as a community, now we're reaching out to a tremendous amount of people, and the numbers will just continue to rise. Whether we see it or not, it still happens statistically.
Boom, Chris.
Agreed.
Chris, I think you should.
And boom, Chris, by the way.
You know, it is the value of it is our community effort, because many brothers and sisters just can't really muster or grasp the dedication that it takes to build a unified force.
Well, I also want to bring to the table another perspective on this exact conversation and topic. Me, myself, and I personally, on this account here, Fire Ash, this account is a network account. Now, I have gratefully made amazing soul unions that I honor and cherish to this moment. But this is a network account for me in my way of moving in the community. Now, I give everything that I can give with grace. And I know to my true authenticity, like Spiritual Talk 369, everyone who was here for the launch of it understands and knows this is a place where I give out of love and gratitude, and understand that I'm sitting here amongst my peers. This is my contribution as well to that community, and that contribution is enough.
Definitely. It's just, it's like that water droplet in the ocean that makes the whole. And every little part that everybody does is what makes the collective. And depending on the amplifications, the role, or the amount, depends on the amount of motion and energy applied. So I agree 100%. And I think like that's the whole idea of a community is it should always and can always be done in a healthy manner for everybody, and everybody gets growth out of it. Even if it's literally a community that somebody started in the woods, that they have their own doctor, they have all the applications set up in place for them. Therefore, that's them taking care of themselves. So that's the inner work where the system works fluently. And I'm not saying let's go start that. I'm just stating that's how a community works, and it's amazing when you get to see communities flow like that. Just being in the community for the past year, I've seen lots of people come and go, but they come in and they get healed in a certain way, and they get what they needed, and then they move on with because a lot of people, I do personally get blockages in my spiritual path. You hit these milestones, and even if it's just growth within myself or stagnant energy, and just the communities help tremendously for people, and they help you in all of your duality, because we have every bit of one of us have duality. We've all been through our lowest times and our highest times, and that is our duality, because we can produce anything that we've ever experienced. Therefore, it's still a part of us. It's just our choice to produce it or not. It can be utilized as tools for protection. Those energies that can make you angry can save your life. So but that's a positive aspect of it. And as long as we have positive aspects on anything that can be used in a negative way, we should always have positive outlooks and results. So that's just my perspective.
Cheers. Rabanis, would you care for a moment, just really quick? The Joe Rogan episode and their names, because it's slipping my mind, and I want to talk about that moment, but it's
Oh,
slipping my mind.
yeah, it's Terrence Howard and Eric Wiseman. Oh, not Wiseman. Eric Weinstein.
Wednesday. Okay.
Yeah, he's a physicist.
Yeah. So, thank you so much. Thank you so much. So, of course, Rabanis recommended I watch the episode because I was talking about Terrence Howard with them in a call. And I went and I watched the episode. So this is coming from a completely biased standpoint, but I loved the synchronicity that I seen myself in it. Because here was someone, Terrence Howard, that I was like, whew, dude. I see like the things that you've seen. I'm hearing them. I'm like resonating. And then here's the scientist who ultimately, in the ways that I have seen him move, I respect him too. And then here's Joe Rogan, another person that I've come to have my own resonance with, right? But I'm watching this and I'm seeing the intention. And I'm watching the intentions of each person butt into each other. This is like a 4+ hour long video, right? But I'm watching their good intentions even at times butt into each other. And how long it actually takes for the sustainability of conversation to actually develop, right? No matter what the intentions were, because I've seen beautiful intentions across the board on the table, okay? No matter what the intentions were, it was them finding that sustainability in there that was so crucial for them to actually create beyond that point. That cooperation, that unity.
Agreed. Eric, Dr. Weinstein, was actually taking some of Terrence's hypothesis and actually giving credit to them and saying if you actually look at it properly and put it within the correct formats, it works. Like a couple of stuff, like three out of 100 that he like spewed out, not the whole entire thing. But and just because you have wild ideas doesn't mean you're crazy. It means that you are connecting to something that not everyone gets yet. But if you talk long enough, maybe they will. It's not up to you.
Yeah, I agree. It's about thinking outside the box and other possibilities. So even when we talk about something like gravity, we don't put in like resonance into a formula. We don't put in those things, but you can see it on the chart that it goes with it. Meaning, if something is vibrating higher, it has a less effective gravity. But that's not necessarily the way that we explain it. But that is, on the chart, that's a part of it. And I think that's more of the standpoint that Terrence goes upon is understanding that factor of it. And a lot of people are these days. We talk about frequency a lot, and frequency is an exchange from a vibration that we can receive within our own vibration, and we can start to create an equilibrium and have a resonance within that. Whether if we want to, we can transmute that as well. But that happens on a natural state. You can feel it when you go walk into nature compared to a grocery store. You can feel it going into a cemetery compared to other areas. You can feel the residual energy that's creating an equilibrium with our biofield, our energy. And I don't know why I'm on this subject, but I'm rambling. Sorry. So, like, for intentions, I think we all agree that intentions kind of are the first step of almost everything. Even when we create a thought, we create that intention to the thought, even if it's subconsciously. So I think it's more of like the questions of when we amplify that, how much of an effect can that have on another? So are we now impeding thoughts? Are we now impeding their biofield strong enough to allow them to feel our energy faster because we're amplifying it? So I guess that's kind of a question for the panel.
That's kind of the point, is it all roots to the authenticity of it. Like, okay, I can tell you all day long these things. I can even somewhat show you to a degree. Yeah. But am I actually living by these words when your awareness isn't there? Is that how I'm moving? Think you get it? It's all about the perspectives of it. Like, I choose to honor people in their own court. Why? Because that's how I like reflected for me. My intentions are to create as much gratitude as I can in my existence. So I'm trying to find the place of grace here in this spectrum of that.
It's nice. Chris, if I understand, from what I understand, you're sort of saying putting intention akin to putting energy out towards someone, and can they have feel this in a biofield, how much energy is going towards. I think kind of a nice sexual analogy. It's got to be the right fit. It's got to be the right size of the opening for the right size of what's coming towards. You don't want, if you feel wrong, and that's your nuance, and you feel how much energy your expulsion, you know if you're making someone feel uncomfortable, probably. I would imagine people have that level of intuition. Or they're not making themselves feel maybe uncomfortable because they're not interjecting enough. So that balance of how much energy push forth and push back through intention, and that's not bringing up, is it noble or honorable even to be interjecting energy forth or back forth and two-way boundaries so I don't move too forward past my boundaries either to affect other people with energy, not just not absorbing and caring for myself. Observe, don't absorb. Yet my intention towards others in that energy going out there in the subtle atheist sphere of the etheric Wabi Sabi world of energy that was invisible, what is that intention putting forth? So do I cull my intentions of others, especially in physical space, right? I imagine. So to do it, with good intention behind the good intentions. I want to have good intentions about my intentions, I guess. Maybe it just fractals back as far as you can get back and say, hold on, what am I? Because your natural instincts might not be your best intentions if you wrote them down and actually thought about them. Like ego triggers these defense mechanisms in us that are supposed to protect us. That's why they're there, and we should be grateful for these things, but we can tailor them to healthy coping mechanisms and make them different than having a panic attack or grabbing a bottle of booze or hitting your kids or some wacky alternative. So to deal with these energies going forth and back, it's because you want to integrate. Oh, my instinct is to do this. I want to reach out and help this person, but are you? And we're all here to help and be healers. So that's that.
And see if you have anything you would like to add to.
Do I keep on the same analogy as Eddie? The receiver has to be a bit malleable, a little bit flexible. That's important too.
There's that word stretch. The etymology of the word itself means stretch.
Yes, exactly. Tia, you're next.
Yes. What? Was there a question? I think I was very distracted with my kids and my husband. So what? Is there a question?
I don't remember the exact question, but it was basically. So we were talking about focus before, and if we start to focus on our intentions, does that naturally impede on others? And maybe not even having that intent to impede on them, but once you get to that level, just thinking about it, will that impede on someone else's thoughts?
I just don't know why we're worried about somebody else's thoughts. It's I'm not thinking about, just being. I mean, when you set your intention in your heart space, you're going to attract heart to heart, mind to mind, soul to soul. That's what attracts all of us together right now. And every time that we come together, our intention, our truest pure intention, and that is what we give our currency to, our attention, our thoughts, our actions, everything that we are doing in our everyday lives. There is a core intention already set, and it's attracting those with the same intentions. And the only thing to focus and worry is your own thought, your own your own alignment, your mind, body, and spirit, and being in alignment with that core intention. Did I answer the question?
Yes, definitely. Thank you. I mean, you are correct, 100%. We should only really worry about ourselves and the intention of ourselves. But not everybody does, and I was more like thinking, and that I'm not even talking about the spiritual community, just day-to-day life. And can those people, for instance, if they're focusing and that energy is amplified, can their thoughts impede into somebody else's thoughts? And I mean actually the actual thought itself, which I agree with Eddie that there's a resonance there. So to receive a thought, typically they have to be within that same resonance. But I also look at mass control that we've seen in our life, and that is kind of a whole other aspect of it. but it's done more in a negative way. And usually enlightened people, like if they're on the panel, it doesn't affect them, but you can see it affecting people that surround us. Not necessarily surround us directly, like we have people that resonate with us, but people that we can observe in life. You know? So it just it feels like not being aware of that, things can be very influential compared to with the awareness. That's all.
Rubanis, in a situation, I'm going to make up a word, telepathic and an empath, call it telepathic. So if you're in a physical environment, you know somebody has this level of telepathic empathy, so to say, and you can just kind of glance across the room and you understand and you have that association. Do you feel more comfortable in a physical 3D situation knowing someone like that is in your environment? Or have you noticed these people seem to come together at certain times?
Oh, that's hilarious. That's funny. Yeah. Yeah, you don't say. You'd be surprised how many people within our community, they just don't talk about it. I'm the kind of person I'm like, ha ha, look, I told you. But most people are just like, they're, maybe they're just too humble to speak on it, or they're not really okay with their environment. Because sometimes when you say the wrong thing in the wrong place, it can damage your energy. So there's that. But yes, there's definitely people out there that can do it. And yeah. And I actually urge them, if you feel safe, like something like this, small, you know, train a little bit. Just a tiny bit. You know, nothing too crazy. And if you want to do crazy, there's always Discord. But yeah, that's one of the ways we're going to experience this. Well, it'll help with our evolution and our ascension, because that's a part of us. And when we connect more to the ether or the consciousness or source or higher selves, and when we connect to each other, that makes it even easier to learn and to grow, because we're actually learning from each other properly instead of spouting words all the time.
The amygdala can depending on the individual's belief, and can actually shape emotions.
That's not my problem. The validation that we receive from each other is all the belief that they need. If they think it's a power trick, then that's on them. They're not ready yet. It's okay.
I don't know if all the details of how, but it can amplify or can lessen an emotion.
Yeah. So let's find the root intention here. This is where both the root intentions are pure, right? So let's go into the root here of what you're both speaking on, because I like some root and temperance in an equation. That's where you have the balance of I respect my peers and community, okay? And I recognize the need of doing that. I recognize that for me, sustainability is what I'm looking at, longevity. And so I've learned through my movements in my experience within the community that for my sustainability, I try to approach it with gratitude for the community and the all. And through that, no expectation of time, no expectation of energy, only the gratitude for that which they freely, authentically wish to give. Moving in that energy, I'm creating a sustainability. Now, I need to a degree, I need to be able to somewhat care to achieve some respect, right? Of what my peers think. But I also need to, within my own system and balance, remember that ultimately everyone is entitled to their feelings, whether I am an NPC, a guide, a villain, a lesson, a blessing, whatever. That is their experience. And I cannot put my emotion and attachment to their feelings. It's that consent thing where that flow, that's where it keeps coming up. Where I keep hearing the snag is the consent thing. So let's look at it that way. All within the boundaries of consent. Because when you step into the community, you recognize that to remain a part of it, you understand the boundaries of it. Doesn't matter if it's community, apply that scenario to anything. You to remain within something, you have to understand the boundaries of that something. Now, for me personally, I respect that I have amazing lessons that I have grown and learned from this community. So, yeah, I guess I would say I see it from both of your perspectives.
Like when it comes to these kind of topics, everything will be subjective individually. And it's not a bad thing, it's just experience, and it's the way that we perceive things. And the whole idea of like the boundaries of the group is, respect. And respecting what other people believe, respecting what experiences they've had, and how that's molded their perception. And that's why I think you see seeds being planted in spiritual communities and not, things being preached. And it's just to allow that little bit of information to grow within you, to mold what's right for you as an individual. And that's what I like about the spiritual communities. That's why they grow individually for people so well, because we all realize we are on our own individual paths at different levels and different reasons and different ways. And it's beautiful. And, it's just in our own community, there's a duality within it every day. And we all have a little bit of different energy. When we come together, it merges, and then the energy just rises, and it's amazing. So, much love.
Amen.
We don't actually have to talk about intentions, though. It's our roundtable. We just like to have discussions. We can talk about anything.
Could we give, um, 30 seconds? 30 seconds. 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 AZ and Dreaming Buddha a chance to speak? Because we haven't yet.
Sorry.
I'm here. I'm listening. I'm trying to figure out what's going on, but you know what? I think I picked up, and I totally agree with you, Chris. These communities here, we're able to speak and touch base on what we like, and I say it's like a library. We got options. We got different discussions. We got different panels. We got different groups where everybody can be selective of where they want to be. Um, Most of the time, and I'm saying like 99% of the time, we're going into a panel that we feel comfortable in, and that's because we are there because others actually spark ideas and thoughts, or they might be touching on something that we have been curious about. So that's the beautiful thing. Now, I don't know if this is off topic, but you guys were talking about when we're doing intentions, these intentions and stuff like that. When we do intentions, I think the number one thing is very vital is when you know exactly what you are wanting. It becomes a lot more easier when you just allow yourself not to be deterred by others. In other words, don't say, what, let me think of what this person's going to think, and this person's going to think, and this person thinks, because you're taking that intention and actually distributing it. And I think that's what we're talking about is sometimes individuals are distributing intentions and not utilizing others, but it reaches others without the intention, meaning they weren't meant to be part of it, but you actually drawing them in when you taking too much into that action. I don't even know if that makes any sense, but when you have the intention and you know exactly concrete what that intention is, you said it before. I think Eddie mentions telepathic and empathy. And that's a sense too. We could have empathy for others, but you know what? If others don't play no part in this intention that you're doing, don't include them in it. You know what I'm saying? Don't include them. And including them in is that thought of just for a second. You know what? I wonder what this person would think or what that person would think. And when you do stuff like that, you're actually bringing them in, or you're actually entering that field that they have without the boundaries, without them even being aware of it. And that's how we have to be careful how we approach a situation like that. I'm aware that when we do intentions and manifestations and stuff like that, you have to give it directions. You have to go down to the T and say, I want this to happen. I want this to happen. I want this to happen. No consequences. Be specific. You know what? I do not know. I don't want no consequences. So you have to do it step by step and actually be considerate of others and such like that. I'm kind of lost. I don't know if I'm talking. I'm trying to pick up. I think you guys are talking two different topics at one time, but I'm trying to think here. So yeah, the number one is the boundaries of others. Just be careful, and we all have the freedom of the free will to get on these panels. If you don't like what individuals are saying, one can walk away. And there's others that just come into these panels. Not saying nobody here because none of us here, but there's others that we get those trolls, the ones that need attention. But it's not because they need attentions or they just don't know how to act right. It's just they need a little guidance. And I think, when we transmute the energy that they bring to us, or into our panel like this, and it may seem like it's disturbing the panel or disturbing the group collective, we can, number one is not pay it no mind, not in a bad way, not pay no mind, and just wait for the opportunity for us to actually transmute that energy that seemed to be negative and was actually disturbing the community. And we can actually transmute it and include the person, include the person. Hey, by the way, what do you think? Just like you did with me, Fire Ash, just right now, or mentioned Buddha. We can encourage them to actually partake into it instead of making them feel like they're outcasts. And when they feel like outcasts, that's when they don't act right, and they're actually trying to disturb the community, because what, if they can't be part of it, they'd rather destroy it, and not destroy it in the sense, but leave a little mark of negativity. I don't know if that helps. I don't know if I even on the right topic.
No, it does. Thank you. I mean, the topic's just kind of flowing. It just started with intentions and how intentions basically create your reality and so many different factors. But no, what you said was beautiful. Thank you.
You're welcome, Chris. And I apologize. It's just it's the intentions could be so vague. There's so many different ways. Are we talking like a manifestation intention, or just an intention overall as far as what your agenda will be in a community like this?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's all a form of manifestation, really. It's just at different levels. So, but you're gonna, whether you're transmuting energy within a group, that's manifesting that. If you're manifesting love within your life because that's what you perceive, and then that's manifesting it as well. So,
Chris, can I just repeat something I said earlier?
yeah.
Before Azrael and Buddha came in, I suggested that once you connect with your higher self, your authentic self, and you find out who you truly are, the singularity, all your intentions become one, and it's the same intention. And Fire Ash beautifully mentioned a very important attribute of maintaining that connection to the higher self, and that's sustainability. So for me, a combination of that true authentic intention and sustainability is that combination is extremely powerful.
I agree. I think that's when you really start to see things happening in your life, is being within that, and it's beautiful. So, Buddha, would you like to speak upon the topic, or anything that you would like to speak about, honestly, from what you've heard, or just so what's on your mind?
Yeah, I think that your brain can create gods, or like the ability for a god to speak to you, like an all-knowing being. I feel like your brain encompasses the ability for you to communicate to something that actually knows everything. Like the names of people you've never met before. Like, I feel like your brain has the ability to create that for you. So, because it's happened to me before.
Yeah. Like channeling?
No, like manifestation. Like one of the cities.
Okay. So like manifesting them into your life?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I can see how that's definitely.
Thanks for letting me share.
Yeah. Is that something you've been practicing?
I've been practicing trying to find out what my brain did create and what it's gonna create next for me. What the next creation is gonna be. I hope it's like a girl deity. That'd be cool.
I was expecting a laugh after that. I'm sorry.
It's visualization. That's the most powerful alchemy. Visualizing. I mean, use your brain. Your brain it's beyond. I mean, I love the brain. So yeah, I mean, and if you can perceive it, it's real. It will make it real. If your perception allows it to perceive the experience or the encounter or the visual.
Yes, 100%.
That's beautifully said.
I mean, it's we got to look at it as like our bodies are our tools to experience. I mean, we are spirits. We're souls having a physical experience, and our brains. There's a lot of technology within these bodies to utilize, and they can do crazy things that we would think are crazy until they become the norm. But it's the same thing with all of our senses. They're all tools. Everything we utilize and intentions are essentially tools, to make the change that we're trying to make, whatever it is that anybody's trying to make. It's that all is kind of part of the equation. So
My other question, while it's my turn, I guess. How does your life work? Do you usually take turns? Is it usually open forum? What do you usually talk about? I also can't see the background. I just see a cup. I just see the coffee cup.
the background just says intentions create our reality, but it's really just a natural flow. If there's questions asked, we like to just kind of go down the line, but for the most part, we're kind of to the point where we've talked about intentions quite often, so it should shift into either some type of another topic or just a flow of discussion. If anybody wants to talk about whatever's on their mind, because that's usually what's they're going to be the most passionate to talk about at that moment. So if there is
Okay.
anything that somebody wants to talk about, go ahead and you can go ahead and speak about it.
I'd like to share something. Well, I would like to start with intention and then branch out into you want like maybe end with gratitude, but in between how like the amygdala, depending on like individual's belief and where their intentions is shaped, can change it or shape an emotion, can make it stronger or weaker. So I have a prime intention. Basically, it starts with an idea that I want to ingrain. That's the intention. The first intention is to ingrain the idea. I think something we may have in common with the idea is a thing which has the highest positive valence for us in the here and now. And possibly be the lead for every moment for the rest of our lives. The lead seed. Yeah, I'll leave it there. My lead seed is Pia meditation. Meditation to find a sustaining attention focused on something. Pia is an acronym. Practice and ideal action. 3 components: practice, conscious, intentional, and positive of the thing we're trying to do when we practice. Ideal, satisfying one's conception of what is perfect. I want to say something about perfect because I've gotten some flack in the past, and nothing is perfect. But the way I see perfect, or satisfying one's conception of what perfect ideal is, if in the here and now, there's no known way to do better. So practice ideal action. It's I use thought and behavior. Most people use behavior, but by definition, the American Psychological Association can be either or. So practicing ideal action and meditation. So sustaining attention, focused on practicing one's ideal action, just ingraining that as a concept. I think that's my prime intention.
You speak great truths, my man.
I have Oh, I just
Yes.
want to like, I have noticed the influx of people in psychiatry recently, and I think that's a good thing, especially in the spiritual community, because spiritual psychosis is a real thing, and it's literally when someone gets too much energy and don't know what to do with it, so it breaks. They have a nervous breakdown, pretty much, and you can see it happening. It's horrifying to watch. And I think instead of going by the book, I think more people within that psychiatry, doctor or otherwise, you know, if they can understand or at least empathize with this information that we're saying and what they come to learn as truth, I think it would be better. Truthfully, I think it would be a little niche within that community.
I think I didn't hear everything you said, but I think it's very important what you said because it relates to meaning. I can say anything. My language, it comes out as a force, but how it resonates, what frequency it vibrates in to the system that receives it is important. What meaning does it have?
I'm sorry if I'm out of order, but Rabanus, when you're talking, I've been giving this a lot of thought. We've been hearing the word or the phrase spiritual psychosis. I don't think it's spiritual psychosis. I think it's ego psychosis. And the reason I say that is because you have a glimpse, you have an awakening, and the ego fights back. It's about not letting go. To me, that's what we many people experience, in my opinion. I don't know what you guys think about that.
No, actually, that makes a lot more sense than because it's the spiritual side that's trying to help you.
Yeah,
And it's the ego that's trying to get outside.
like just to throw in on this, I was just thinking the same thing, AT, because what I used to call it, TikTok appropriate the wording, is I used to call it a miniature spiritual ego unaliving because their system was overloaded with light code and information, and their system was literally fighting back because it needed time to actually be able to process the information. And it happens, and that would be a lot cleaner and sufficient way, in my opinion, to look at that, call it. That's probably the correct way. And I don't know. Point is that I'm totally in that vibe.
Agreed. I'll be using that from now on, I believe. It's all about learning, man. Thanks. Once again, Alien T. Teacher and student.
Efficiency is important. Excuse me. Well, so amygdala. I don't know if it's too scientific, but
Oh,
it's done. The way it was explained to me was that what is her name?
looks
Ketai.
like he's trying to talk, but it's not happening.
No, Rubanus, we can hear him. Quit talking.
But I want to have good meaning. I want to, be positive to everyone. I would like people to feel gratitude, and it's I don't want to be punishment because if my words are punishing, I don't know that people may run from them and then they're not received. So then it's like it doesn't serve its purpose.
So, Pia, first let me see this. Please Be welcome at this table and recognize that it is a safe place, that we all uphold each other to that. No one is coming to this table with ill intentions. So be welcome and be well received. Move in the energy that you want to move in without fear of your conveyance. Be authentic to you.
What I think is important with the, I guess with the amygdala, how it can amplify and like maybe change an emotion. Like if I give myself for example, like I had a lot of fear, anxiety, and I would always just run from any situation. Now we're talking about like when I was a kid, sweaty palms all over the place. Now I would run, and it's like I was got away from the situation, so that it amplified the running. But what it did was it constantly got me more excited, and so it amplified the fear. Um, on a side note, and it was only a one trial, and I know they're doing scientific experiments now. And it was only a one-time thing. It was like a permanent change. And maybe I'm afraid to say it, so I don't want to say too fat, because I don't want to have any troubles. But it was a molecule, and it I don't know, I was able to connect with people, in the band playing music, hitting drums. I never did those things before, and and what happened? Well, it was like another party all night, but in the backyard. But what happened was I was able to be like free. And then I thought about it after. I said, wait a minute, because it was such a different thing for me. Because my amygdala was so activated, so much fear, and it was like, why can't I do it now? But that's a side story, side note. But I think having intention, and kind of knowing the possible consequences, like belief wise, like how the body kind of reshapes its, not the body, well, how the emotions can kind of reshape themselves is important, um because it's like, um because they can reshape. I know, because the fear was kind of diffused, and I'm trying not to get too lost, but I know it was intention, will, using the will, intention, will, and belief. Those were three things that I heard. I was trying to stay connected to those. Um, Another thing that I heard that's very important to know, like gratitude. I will talk about that in a wellness class. But I got some information from a guy, Paul Conti. He is well, he was chief resident at Harvard. He's a smart guy, psychiatrist, and he talks about agency gratitude as being some of the best qualities a person can have. To be happy in life. Not even money and stuff like that. It's not as important. And gratitude, it's like, to define it as a gift, but no, not as a gift, as a response of thankfulness and happiness after receiving a gift. Either they say tangible or a nice day. It could be anything. It could be something the person desires, like me. If my purpose is healthy self, healthy humanity. If I get any information or any connection with someone and that want to work on that goal, I feel good about that. Agency is sort of like having the ability to not push, have some influence. So I would like to do have like reciprocal gratitude. Like I would like to say words that people see as a gift. I would like to have that ability to do that, and reciprocal. With giving gifts back and forth to each other. Um, Yeah, and I forgot the third thing. I'm sorry, I forgot what the third thing I wanted to talk about. I'll just I'll just end it there.
No apologies needed, man. I'm grateful, genuinely, that that's what you brought to the table as your closing statement. See, the thing is that you're fully capable of every bit of that gratitude you're speaking of. You're fully capable of all of that. We're all equals here, recognizing that we're all a fractal of the divine, right? I recognize that you are fully capable of that. And that's the beauty of it. Everything that you want to achieve, I don't have to direct your path. I don't have to tell you walk a different way. That's not my place. I appreciate the way you move on your path and the authenticity that you brought to the table with that. So thank you for allowing me to know you on a deeper level. I appreciate you joining this roundtable tonight. This is your first one that I know of, that I'm aware of, that my awareness has. So thank you for being here, man.
Pleasure. And I'm thinking ego psychosis. What that is it's interesting. But I don't know much about it. Or the and psychosis is not good.
Can I, Pia, if it's okay, can I just have a little back and forth with Pia for a moment? Pia came onto my poetry live. Do you remember that?
I do.
Yeah. Now, when you connected in thought, looking for that inspiration to create poetry, do you see that happening in a different part of yourself? When you're doing poetry, do you find it a different feeling when you're communicating that way?
It really depends on understanding the goal.
Right.
And you, so yeah, because if I can understand the goal, I can put things. I think I can put things that can start to achieve it. If I have a belief of what it is and how to do it.
Yeah. And the reason I bring it up is, a lot of times, like for example, if you're playing music, it flows much smoother because it's coming from a different place. The heart is involved, the imagination is involved. And if I can encourage you, try to find that feeling even when you're having just regular discussions and speak from there. And because you were amazing in the poetry live, you really were. And yeah, I just wanted to maybe bring that to your awareness that, the heart also has neurons. Science has proven that. And it's a thinking vessel as well.
I'll try. I mean, I can do it. It's just a little, you know, uncertain maybe. But I think I can try and do it and stay focused on the topic a little bit, even though I may miss some things, like it's not the direct connection to all the words that I heard. So I have to work on that. Being connecting better, more exactly.
Yeah, and because spirituality requires the heart space. You've got to connect to that emotional intelligence, if we can call it that. And you have it. I've seen it in my poetry lives. And not that I'm criticizing anything, I just wanted to point out that I've noticed such an amazing, intuitive, wise wisdom. You dropped wisdom in that poetry life. And I think that's your higher self. And connect to that and trust it to guide you.
Um, is it? Could you share something like I just have a pen in my hand, and I'm trying to keep the idea because I value I value what you say. You've been helpful in your guidance.
Yeah, you know who's really good with that is Fire Ash. She can help. She'll take this another level further. Go ahead.
Hey, man. So here's the thing. When you step into poetry, first thing, let's look at the surface, because some of the simplest aspects are actually some of the key aspects. So let's not denounce that. One of the key aspects of poetry is a form of artistry, right? So what do? We move into a creative energy. Where does creative energy come from, ladies and gentlemen? Directly from source. That is the energy signature of source. So the moment you step into that comfortability of creativity and non-judgment, right? You step into your authentic space and bring forward a level of authenticity, which is your own divinity. Pia, the level of authenticity I heard you speak when I said, take your fear away for a moment and please just be you, because we're all just here being us. And you spoke with passion. You spoke with, you were humble, but you were confident.
Certain.
That right there, man. That's what he's pointing out to you.
Yes, I agree. I agree with that. Exactly.
I do too. Um, so, we're all on different paths, and this is, what shows that is these dualities and these different ways that we perceive things. But we all usually come to the same conclusion that it's our highest self, and just how we word it or whatever it might be, we find these unions and these connections within everybody. And it's amazing. So I just wanted to say that. Okay. I'm getting to the time where I'm probably going to go around and just see if anybody has anything final that they would like to talk about, and just to brush on what we've been speaking about tonight, or just anything. And we'll call it a night after that.
I just want to chime in because like I said, I came in the tail end of this. I didn't even know it was a round table. But, one thing that I do want to emphasize is that, when we come into these communities, the main thing is being true to yourself and being authentic. Don't try to cater what you want to say or actually your beliefs on what you think others want to hear from you. Just be yourself and actually speak your truth and be yourself. And we're all here to learn. We're all here to share, and to enlighten one another. And when I say enlighten, it's like bring the flashlight to the party, and then we're gonna go on the trails and on a night trail, and the talks that we have are not premeditated. They're happening genuinely, and when they're happening genuinely, when we are our genuine self, our authentic self, it flows. Everything manifests as the way it's supposed to be because we allow it to be without no ulterior motives. Just being who we are without worrying about what others are going to think you're saying. That's the best thing that we need to remember. We bring our own chemistry, we bring our own perspectives, we bring everything. Not two things are identical, everything is different, but yet everything connects with one another, and that's the beautiful thing. And that's all I'm saying is just be yourself. Don't worry what others are going to think, and you will see how it actually will flourish. The more you allow yourself to be yourself, the more you will flourish. And that's the most beautiful thing that one has the ability, because if today you didn't achieve it and you didn't feel comfortable, tomorrow's another opportunity.
Beautiful. 100%. I agree. I appreciate you. I always have, Ezra.
And likewise, Chris, as I appreciate everybody here as well.
Robinus, do you have anything? We're kind of going from the bottom, working our way up. So, do you have anything you want to kind of finish with tonight, Robinus?
Um, no, truthfully, surprisingly. I really feel that there's a change a coming, but I think it's going to be a positive one. I think we've gone onto the timeline to where not actually we can relax, but we can actually start making preparations to the future, spiritually and mentally and physically, properly. That's it.
Nice. Alignment. I like it. Buddha, do you have anything you would like to add for tonight? Shed? Move on with prayer meditation. Do you have anything you would like to kind of final thoughts of tonight?
I think well, I think it's not too wrong to me with doing things to fit in for others, but not sacrificing what's most important for myself first.
Can I say something really quickly? That's okay.
Yes, of course. Go ahead.
Pia, you sound. I remember that sound. You sound like you're fighting against yourself. The energy that's coming through it. Or you haven't practiced enough to allow it to flow properly. Not properly, but like flow easily. Because there's no proper way of doing it. And how I used to do it was talk to myself out loud. I know it's kind of crazy, but the way when you flow, when you get connected to the ether, and to your higher self, and when you start channeling and saying the things that needs to be said to help everyone, it's easier. It gets easier. It's just that practice.
I appreciate you sharing. I try to hear myself. That's you said it. Thank you.
My turn? Is it my turn?
It could be your turn or AT's turn. I'm trying to pull an AT and make you do it last. That's all.
Okay, I'll wait.
Gotta save the best for last. Come on. If it's not too much pressure, Pia, I would like to give my time for you to give your final thoughts in the form of a short poem. Do you think you could come up with something quick? Because you were very impressive on that Poetry Live, and I'm just wondering if that's something you think you could do it in thought without actually writing it down.
I don't know, but I'll try. Tonight, I had enlightened my mind. I'm looking spiritual 369. It's my first time on this live. It's definitely appreciated. I feel the gratitude. Gratitude Fire Ash mentioned. Alien T speaks about spiritual extension. I don't know much about dreaming Buddhists. I do like the Dharma. Israel isn't Azrael. Ravenous. Look forward to us growing in here. Now disappear.
Thank you.
Okay.
Seriously. You did exactly what you're supposed to do in poetry, and just what Alien T was talking about, the neurons from the heart. That's where that was coming from. Fire Ash. So it's your turn.
So, take what you will. I chose to pull a tarot message for sharing with the collective here. If you don't want to hear it, that's okay. It's just a little story. But for those who wish to hear it, and what the message is that my guides wanted to bring forward, it came out as the Ten of Pentacles. A lot in tarot, you'll find that the reader, the oracle, the seer, looks at this as a true form of abundance because they acknowledge and accept the 3D aspect to all of our humanity. So you have this security, family, established, contribution, stability, long-term success. Coming out with the Knight of Swords, this is a fearless, ambitious energy. Some competitive action, but it's driven towards success. So fast thinking, the ability to stand firm in beliefs, the ability to be adaptive and change in the lifestyle. Carrying with that energy, you have the Nine of Wands, or staves, however you wish to see it. You have persistence, courage, maintaining boundaries, understanding those boundaries and the strength of those boundaries. And capping in this energy, you have the Star, hope, clarity, faith, inspiration, renewal, spirituality. In this energy of this message, I wish to share with you the intention is to recognize and honor that sustainability is part of adaptability. Being the seed is being the creator. Being at peace and balance within is bringing that intention into the reality that you currently experience. I am grateful to every single one of y'all and the amazing amount of growth and opportunity that you all have provided in this beautiful community. I look forward to the growth and exchange in a true, authentic, and organic way. Thank you.
Thank you, Ash. Thank you for your reading. Thank you for sharing your channels, because they are very precious. And I want to show my appreciation to everybody. It's just we just wanted to be able to have a channel that we can provide in the moments where there's no other lives going on, and like a Sunday doesn't happen very often, and where we all just have a round table and have a discussion. So I really appreciate all of you for joining with us tonight, and it was a great discussion. Everybody got to put their perspective on intentions and how it affects us in our daily lives and others. And I really appreciate all of you, and much love. And I think we're going to go ahead and sign out for tonight. And I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of their evening.
Have a good evening, guys.
Nice to connect. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Much love to everyone.
I was late to the party, but thank you. Thank you, Chris, and everybody that was here.